So, oh, there's red, blue, orange.
Okay, so it should be coming on here in about 30 seconds or so. No? Okay, we're live.
Well, there's a man up here.
We need?
Are you guys ready?
I did take a shot and I was like,
I know that's why I was by.
sick.
Pick a black pickup. Who has a black pickup?
A black pickup?
You out here?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a. Oh my doors are so.
Okay.
I drove by and I thought, well, I don't see anybody.
Wonder how that happened.
I don't know.
I locked it.
Is that right, Neil?
I can't see if the tree is at the ejection seat.
And we're live.
Oh, I need that on, don't I? Thank you. Alright, everybody good? Okay. Call to order the Vermillion County Council meeting for July 2026. Please stand for the pledge. Pledge, please.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call. Mr. Costello.
Here.
Mr. Somerville. Ms. Brown. Here. James present. Ms. Furry. Here. Mr. Bose, not here this evening. And Mr. Weir.
Here.
Thank you very much. All right, first up, we have approval of minutes for our council meeting from June 8th, 2026. Any comments, questions, additions?
I have one, section 7, additional appropriations. The first one was $10,000 for the ambulance facility operations. And the next one appears to be an appropriation to pay for an interpreter, which I believe prosecutor discussed.
Judge.
Judge discussed that. And that's all it has. It just says appropriate. It just describes what happened. There's no amounts, no description of who voted for what. Which I believe we followed through.
It almost looks like maybe it got cut off.
Because we're in motion.
We'll have to go back and add that.
Yeah, I'll check that out.
We should have it on the video at least.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I guess we either need to remove this or complete it, whichever is the case at the meeting.
Is there anything else in the minutes that we need to adjust?
I'll make a motion for the minutes, with the correction under section 7 as needed.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. I have a motion from Mrs. Furry, a second from Mr. Costello to accept the Vermillion County Council meeting minutes from June 8th, 2026, with the addition of the appropriation for interpreter information added in section 7. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. Okay, minutes are approved. Next on the agenda is the monthly treasurer report. Any questions on that? None? Okay, move on. Next is the quarterly comp report. Any questions, comments on that?
I was thinking I didn't have all of that. I was looking for another page. Is there another page to it that I didn't get or not?
The full-time report? It's
Right.
mine were paper clipped, but
You're right, it's, because ours is two-sided, so for some reason it doesn't have two-sided. So you need the other side.
I've got 2 pages total on one side.
okay.
Essentially, just single-sided.
Yours is
So,
single-sided
I
too?
don't think all the reader is.
Because yours is two-sided.
Anything on comp time?
Well, I guess I have one.
Okay.
There's, I don't know these people, but there's always one individual that has quite a bit more. Is there any reason for that?
We'd have to ask the elected official on that one. They're responsible for signing off on overtime.
So, I'm curious, because it seems like quite often.
Anything else? We'll move along to the transfers this evening. We have a few. The first one is for public safety. They are moving $7,600 from principal payment to interest payment. It's covering the interest for the bond payments. Any questions on that? It's reporting only. The next one is for the drainage board. They are asking to transfer $35,725.86 from professional services in the drainage board, the general fund account, and move it into the Armor Morgan Drain Fund into professional services. So it's still going for the same purpose. It's switching funds. The Armor Morgan Drain is the one that they've been working on. If the project goes, that's the one where the taxpayers pay money into that fund, and then it'll go into property tax, and then that money is taken to repair legal drain. They're asking for that money to transfer to get the additional engineering plans done.
And when I mentioned this at our last meeting, you was here at our last meeting, I brought it up.
Yeah,
For those who don't recall.
I'll make a motion to transfer from the drainage board professional services into Arnold and Morgan professional services, $35,725.86 as written. Second that.
I have a motion from Mr. Costello, a second from Mr. Weir to approve the transfer of the drainage board of $35,725.86 from one professional service fund in the general fund, to the Armor Morgan Drain professional services. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, state no. Transfer is approved. The next is a report, not a reporting only, that's wrong. Can you change that to now in there? Is a transfer from the redevelopment commission and allocation fund number 1. They're asking to transfer a total of $20,000 from capital outlays to the following line items: internet, electric, gas, water, and grounds, totaling $20,000. This is to pay for utilities at Ernie Pyle for the rest of 2026. Original estimates were low, especially because of the need to refill the trophy. So, any questions on that? We have redevelopment here for you.
Who filled this out?
I did, Neil.
I know. Just by your handwriting.
Oh.
Perfect. Thought it was a font when you printed it. It's handwriting. So.
I didn't have enough. There's a computerized form you can fill in, but it didn't have enough lines, so I had to handwrite it.
I'll make a motion to approve the allocation fund 14912 to transfer the 20,000 from the capital outlays to the internet, electric, gas, water, and grounds as written.
I'll second it.
I have a motion from Mrs. Furry, a second from Mr. Weir, to approve transfer for redevelopment commission in the allocation fund number 1, which is money generated from the TIF district, in the amount of $20,000. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. Transfer is approved. Our next transfer is from EMA department. It is in the general fund, and it is reporting only. $100 for repairs and maintenance to water. Any questions on that one? Okay. The next transfer is in the courthouse from the general fund as well. Amount of $500. They're asking to transfer building $500 from building and structure into the elevator maintenance due to the increase in the maintenance increase in operating permit. So it again is reporting open. Any questions? Alright, that is the end of transfers. We will move along to additional appropriations. Our first additional this evening is from the clerk's office. They're asking for an additional appropriation of $3,000 from the general fund. This is from overtime. We did, during budget hearings, use the clerk's perpetuation fund and listed $3,000 of overtime. We were trying to use any money that is collected through fees for overtime first before using property tax money, which is the general fund. However, there was a problem with the documentation. There's no documentation to show what the OPM is for. So with the perpetuation fund, we have to know that it was used for certain purposes. So since we don't have that specific purpose, we cannot use it from the perpetuation fund. So they're asking for it to be in the overtime out of the general fund account.
I have a question on the explanation. It says it's moved from, now that it's not, the money's not moved, just the
Correct.
line item.
Yeah, the explanation says overtime moved from clerk perpetuation fund to general fund to correct payment location. It's not really correcting it or moving it. It's just the fact that it could be used for overtime if the purpose was for that specific stated like record keeping. But since we don't know what the overtime, it could have been election, it could have been anything, that we can't use it as perpetuation without that defined aspect. So we are just adding money to the general fund. Technically, there would still be $3,000 in the perpetuation fund for overtime. But there again, we have to prove that it was for those reasons of the record keepings. It's basically straight just additional money. We do not have any money in the Commissioner's Court budget. Previously, we had lumped it all in the Commissioner's Court budget to pay overtime for everyone in the county. Well, not everyone, but generally the courthouse. Last year budget hearing, we had a discussion about splitting it up per department, and that's why it got split out. So there are other departments that do have the overtime in their general fund account. There's a few that have it in their extra fees account when we could. So, there is no money anywhere else to pay the clerks overtime.
Another like that idea I had is divide it out instead of one great big pot. I'm looking for a motion.
Yep.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion from Mr. Weir, a second from Mrs. Furry, to approve an additional appropriation of $3,000 for overtime in the general fund for the clerk. Is there any additional discussion? All those in favor, please signify by stating aye. All those opposed state no. Addition is approved. The next additional appropriation this evening is from the EOC. It is in the general fund. They're asking for $1,100 for water and sewage. We need to have that transfer of $100 also, so.
Do we know if this covers the rest of the year, or
We hope.
you hope?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion for the $1,100 for EOC.
I'll second that.
I have a motion from Mrs. Furry, second from Mr. Costello, to approve an additional appropriation of $1,100 for water and sewage at EOC. Is there any further discussion?
Which community is this going to, or the utility?
It's the office in Clinton.
Office in Clinton.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All those opposed state no. Additional is approved. All right, the next additional appropriation is from the surveyor. It is from asking for an additional $1,199 in his general fund for, it says office supplies. But this is the Simply Life annual fee and the Simply Life, what is PP, I'm not sure. But it's to scan the multi-page documents. He was here at our previous meeting to discuss that, to where they would like to be able to put documents together in one file versus having them separate. And also, I believe it was because they could only scan one page at a time.
I'm gonna guess that's per page, maybe.
Yes.
Yes, he did say down here, $10 per document. So maybe it's per document. Okay.
He's got supporting documentation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll make that motion to approve this request for $1,199.
Second motion.
Thank you. I have a motion from Mr. Weir, a second from Mrs. Furry, to approve an additional appropriation for the surveyor's location 106 budget for the Simply Life document scanning in the amount of $1,199. Any further discussion?
I think that's Simplify.
Simplify, what'd I say?
Yeah, just because I know about it. So you said Simple Life.
Yeah, just get an F.
Yeah, it's Simplify.
You're right, simplify.
Yeah. Okay.
All those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, state no. Additional appropriation is approved. Should probably get my eyes checked. The next additional appropriation is also from the surveyor's office. It is in the amount of $450 for office supplies. This is the general fund, location 106. It's to cover routine printing monthly cost, and it's separate from the drainage board. You might note of that. So this is his general fund for his office.
Motion made.
Second.
motion from Mr. Weir, a second from Mrs. Furry for an additional $450 in the general fund, location 106, surveyor's office, office supplies for monthly printing cost. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, state no. Addition is approved. The next additional appropriation is also for the from the surveyor. It is the not the fund number, but it's the general fund, location 106, equipment and maintenance, in the amount of $2,600. It is the Simplifile make document processing fee.
I think he was separating it, putting part of it under one response, and the other another response.
And I think this is for the road records, I think.
They're both listed in 106, so that's the same location.
$6 a document. I think he's got it broke down into district, sections, township, ranges, so it can be searchable and retrievable. From being scanned in.
And then you put down at the bottom too, I think it's those 3,000 plus documents,
Mhm.
more, I think it was more than that. Trying to get it condensed down to 420.
20 documents, yeah. Make it a lot easier to locate.
Okay, so he's got it divided up 3.
Yeah.
So this is to get the equipment to do it. And then the previous one was the annual fee, and then to have $1,000 to scan, because it's going to be $10 per document.
Mhm.
Okay, so this would be the actual equipment to do it.
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion from Mrs. Furry, second from Ms. Brown, for the approval of $2,600 in equipment and a maintenance in the surveyor's general fund, location 106 budget. Is there any further discussion?
This is just the
You want to
money
change
for
it?
the contract we signed.
thanks.
I assume so.
Sounds like.
I know I talked to them about it. I believe any contract the commissioners sign.
It was my understanding that they said some time ago that there wouldn't be any contracts unless they were involved in it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by stating yes.
Yes.
Sorry, aye.
Yes.
Just sure.
Yes, aye.
Just make sure you're paying attention.
We're not speaking.
All those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, state no. It is approved. It's been a long day. All right. Just testing you. You passed. All right, next additional appropriation is from Redevelopment Commission. I believe they're here to speak on your behalf.
Can you do it where it's where's it at? Where's this play?
I don't know how to make it.
See your mouse for a second.
We didn't get into that part. We just have to switch down each one.
We can do that.
Yeah. We'll just shift
I
whenever
didn't
you're-
expect to be sitting up here tonight.
Whenever you're ready. we'll move to the next one.
It's a large request, so I figured we ought to talk a little bit about what we're asking it for and why we're asking it for. And I'm Scott Craig, you probably know that, but I'm here tonight as the attorney for the Redevelopment Commission, to ask for a $1.5 million additional appropriation to fund improvements, renovations to Ernie Powell Elementary School to turn it into an early childhood education center. I would tell you that to look at it more as an advance on future TIF than to think of it as an appropriation you're not going to get back. We do have TIF revenues over the next decade that will be enough to enable us to reimburse the county in full for any additional appropriation you decided to give us tonight. But well, if you go to the next slide. What we're trying to do here, our idea that we've been working on now for 3 years, is to transform 50,000 square foot former elementary school into a high quality early childhood education center serving the residents of the Wabash Valley. Go ahead. The problem is while the school is sound in many respects, it was open and used as an elementary school until 3 years ago. Renovations are needed, largely because the state has different building codes that are applicable to early childhood education facilities. You think you could just, hey, it was good enough for first graders, why can't it be used for 4-year-olds? And the answer is it can. You have to have this and that and the other. But there's also some major systems like the HVAC system that need to be upgraded and replaced. There's a fire suppression system that needs to be put in because the school does not have sprinklers and this is a change of use. So therefore, sprinklers need to be installed. And there's other things, roof repairs, things of that nature that need to be done. If you go up another couple slides, Ron.
Timeline.
The timeline, yeah. So take you back just so you can understand how we got where we are today. This started back in 2022. Back when Dylan Riggin was EDC, he came to the Redevelopment Commission and said there's a problem in Vermilion County with childcare. It's something that employers are bringing up to him all the time. The lack of quality childcare facilities in our county, it inhibits their ability to attract and retain employees. And is there anything the Redevelopment Commission might be able to do to assist with that? It wasn't something that was on my personal radar. I hadn't thought about it. But as Dylan explained it to us, and we talked to people around the community, started to understand that it is a problem. If you are trying to move here, relocate here, especially if you're relocating from a different part of the country, different part of the state, and you don't have a lot of family here, not familiar with this area, you're looking for childcare. And where are those facilities in our county? And we are lacking them. So we started to look actually at the old Joanne Wilson Education Center there on 36, kind of right by the bridge by Montezuma. We looked at that site as a possible site, had some appraisals done of it. This is Kelly's fault because we were talking about that site, and about that time, the school corporation announced they were going to be closing Ernie Powell. And Kelly said, what about Ernie Powell? And so we started to look at Ernie Powell. Would it work? Don't know. Do we even need this? So we commissioned a feasibility study in 23 that went on into 24. Did a lot of surveys of employers and employees of the area. These were randomized, or these were surveys that were sent out through employers to people in Vermilion County, asking about, do we need child care? What kind of child care do we need? These sort of things. The 4 results from that study is, yes, we did need more licensed child care facilities. We're at only about 50% of our capacity in this county for licensed child care, and that's particularly true of infants and toddlers. We have no licensed child care facilities in our county for infants and toddlers. We need higher quality facilities. The state did a study in 2022 that rated every county based on its child care capabilities, its affordability, quality, availability, and these factors. And we were very, very low in terms of quality. We were high in affordability, actually. It was affordable, but we lacked in quality. The other thing is that there was a demand for longer hours, overnights, weekends. So in 2024, the area into 2024, the redevelopment commission acquired from South Bend School Corporation, Ernie Powell Elementary School. Ron, can you go up a slide there? So what have we been doing since then? Well, we've been trying to figure out what we need to do and how to pay for it. We've been working with a team of experts, some of whom are here tonight, to evaluate what renovations are needed, how much will those renovations cost. We've been using an entity that's not here tonight, Mike Halstead and his company, Halstead Associates. They are the people who helped us design this building. And are experts in determining that they're the guys who design these buildings and say, okay, the state requires rooms for toddlers to have a exterior exit door, so you have to put that, and you're going to put that into this room. It requires a sink and a toilet in this room or whatever, so we have to put those in this room. How much will it cost has also been something we've been struggling to figure out, so we retained Handy Construction to be construction managers for this, and a couple of representatives, Ashley McCauley, I think Seth here, yeah, Seth, he's the guy who runs Carter Roman. We liked Handy because they gave us a good deal, first of all, but you know, Seth is a Dana boy. He went to Ernie Powell. He knows the school like many of the rest of us do, and so he shared our idea of excitement about, hey, maybe we can continue to use this thing and find another. If the school corporation can't use it, maybe we can. We also had to find an operator to run the facility, and that was something we were terribly worried about being able to do, but we were fortunate and blessed really to work with Brandon to convince, I don't know if he still wants to do it, but he signed an agreement that said he would, Brandon Howley from Chances and Services for Youth in Terre Haute to come on board and agree to be the operator of our facility. And I've asked them to come tonight, not only to show their support for this, but to answer questions that anyone may have about what the facility is going to be like, what this particular part of the construction would be. Then we had to try and find, we've been working for a while to try and find grant money to support this project. We have shaken a lot of trees, and we've had a lot of luck. The first tree to fall was Ready 2.0. That's state IEDC grant money that allocated through our local regional development authority, which Bill Reynolds, I think I saw Bill back here, Bill's a member of that board. And they agreed to give us $600,000 towards this project. Duke Energy Foundation was our next grant that we received. It was for $20,000. And those funds we've already actually got those funds. Next one was the Terre Haute Casino Foundation. They gave us $250,000. Again, we already got that money. And then Taylor Powell's back there in the corner. If you don't know Taylor, he's our new Community Foundation president. He got out of the law business smartly and is now giving away money, which is much better than being a lawyer. They have given us $500,000 towards our project. One of the things we had tried to do through the Community Foundation was Lilly Endowment had a large grant available, Gift Aid, and we worked through our Community Foundation to apply for that grant. We got past the first round, but we were not awarded the grant ultimately. So that was disappointing, but I think in part because we had presented such a good quality project, our Community Foundation, our local Community Foundation believed in it, and so they had some resources available to them and agreed to give us $500,000. And so and you'll see this in the next slide, but the purpose, if you want to go up a slide, Ron's not the next slide, I guess, but there's another grant we're applying for. Actually, Brandon is technically the lead on applying for that. That is a $1.5 million United Way capital project grant. He has received one of those grants already for his facility in Terre Haute. We are cautiously optimistic that we are going to be in good standing with them to award that grant for, go back where you were. Oh, yeah, that's good. Thank you. It's awkward trying to tell him what to do. We're in the process of applying for that right now, and there's one of those per county, I believe, and we have the support of our local United Way to get that money. They're asking some great questions, but they've been very supportive of what we're doing. So that's the cover sheet. That's called, I call it vision, but it really just looks like the school with kids in front of it, which is kind of what it always looks, except they're a little smaller. But I like this highlight because this map, which is kind of hard to see from where you're sitting, but it shows the pink is a 10-mile radius around Ernie Pyle. The purplish blue is a 20-mile radius around Ernie Pyle, because we think that's probably the area from which we're going to draw a lot of people, either people who live or work in that area or are traveling through that area on their way to work. Ernie Pyle seems remote when you're out there because you're surrounded by farmland mostly. But within 10 miles of that is quite a bit of population. If you go about 20 miles, you're getting almost all of Terre Haute, Cayuga, Newport, Paris, a pretty large area in terms of population. And again, large employers located in close proximity to the school. The biggest two being Elanco and White Construction are both within about 5 miles. So, Ron, can you move on the slide, please? If you're not familiar with Ernie Pyle, that's a 10,000-foot view of it. It's actually 20 acres in size. It's big. The school was originally built in the early 60s when school consolidation occurred, and Dana, Hillsdale, St. Bernice all closed their high schools, and they sent all their kids through the 8th grade to Ernie Pyle. If you go to the next slide, Ron. So this shows you a little bit of a closer up view of the school as an architectural drawing. The areas in blue and yellow are the areas of the school that would be dedicated towards early childhood education. I can't remember how many classrooms that is. It's about 10 or 12 classrooms, plus a very large cafeteria, library, gymnasium, kitchen. Those would serve up to 175 kids between the ages of 6 weeks and 6 years at max capacity. The area that's kind of a greenish color is an area of the school. When I went there, it was where like first grade, second grade were, kindergarten, all the way to Miss Martin's third grade class were in that hallway. That hallway we would envision using for complementary services. We don't have any of those yet, but things like after-school care, summer programs, could be elderly care, GEDs. We've talked to Valley professionals about nurse practitioners. So that space would be available for other potential complementary tenants. We wouldn't necessarily want like a liquor store in there or something like that, but because of the child care, right? But it could, probably not. And I know Brandon and Casey do a lot of programs themselves, and I could certainly see the possibility of Casey running some of its programs out there. I know, the Veterans Affairs person has come in and asked about possibly using that space. That's certainly possible. It's available. So I think we're getting into the money next, if I remember correctly. Ron, can you go up a slide? So how much will this cost? Well, I don't know if you all got to see it, but the numbers just changed. We had originally bid this project 3 or 4 weeks ago. I think we opened bid, something like that. And the bids came in with all the soft costs and things like that at about $4.4 million. But 2 parts of the project were called mechanical and plumbing, which a lot of that is really HVAC stuff, new chiller, new controls. There was only one bidder for that. And the same was true of the fire suppression. There was only one bidder for that. And so we talked to some of the bidders. There have been other bidders interested, but they just didn't actually ultimately submit a bid. So we went back to those contractors who didn't bid and said, what can we do to help you? We'd like to rebid this. So they needed a little bit more time. They had a few questions that needed answered. So we were able to provide that information to them, give them a little bit more time, and they opened new bids last Thursday. We did get multiple bids on both of the divisions. It turns out that the low bidder was still the original low bidder, except their prices got better. The prices went down a total of $331,000, which brings the total to do phase 1 and phase 2 down to a little over $4 million. I don't remember the exact number, I probably have it in here. Yeah, $4,046,750. Okay, which is great, which means we don't need a full $1.5 million to do phase 1 and phase 2. And if I explain this, Ron, if you go back to that slide that shows the schematic of the school. So phase 1 and phase 2 would be doing both those wings at the school for early childhood that you see in blue and yellow. That would be mostly classroom interior stuff, inside the building. Walls, cabinets, flooring, ceiling tiles, electrical, plumbing, interior work. The HVAC is building wide. The roof repairs are a little over 100,000. Again, that's also building wide. And then the fire suppression is building wide, is it not? Yes. So the fire suppression is also building wide. But the big difference between phase 1 and phase 2 is phase 2 is more of the classroom. If we just did phase 1, it would only be about half of the classrooms, and the other half of the classrooms would remain unrenovated. If they did need to expand, which we hope they do, then we would have to make those renovations sort of on a case-by-case basis. The problem with that I know Brandon's concerned about is how do we make all these renovations? I don't want construction guys in here with my little kids during the day. There's security issues, there's licensing issues with your license. So if we could, the commission decided that if possible, they'd like to do phase 1 and phase 2 simultaneously and just go ahead and make all those renovations to the interior of both those wings. However, I sent you an email last night, and the good news is we saved, our bids came in $331,000 less. I don't know if it's bad news, but as a corollary to that, there was also a third phase to this project, and that is interior work inside the part that's green, the tenant wing. The estimated cost for that, it's mostly interior stuff. There's some electrical, there's some plumbing, because the restrooms are the same restrooms as when I went to school there, and which is fine, they're kind of fun to go into, but they're not really adult restrooms, they're kid restrooms, and so things are sized for kids. And we would like to make renovations to those restrooms. It would be hallways, ceiling tiles. The classrooms would be mostly left as they are. There's a couple restrooms, or a couple of the classrooms that do have restrooms in them. I think there's some restroom renovations inside those because they are like the kindergarten rooms, and they have toilets that are about a foot tall. They're kind of cute, like baby toilets, but they're not very practical for adults. So that would be $269,000. The commission has not even had a chance to discuss these new numbers yet, to be honest with you, because we just got them. But I couldn't help but bring up the fact that if you were inclined to do the full $1.5 million, that would give them the option to go ahead and make these interior renovations to the common areas of the what we call the tenant wing of the west wing. I'm sorry, Ron, would you be able to go back to the cost and then the next slide? How much will, now go to the next one, please. So how are we going to pay for this? So I went over these numbers with you. We've got about $1.4 million in grants so far. We're applying for another 1.5. We've asked for 1.5 from you. Actually, we got to fine tune that. We don't not need quite that much. It's probably like 1.45, something like that. But the total cost would be if we got from you what we requested would be like 4.4 million, something like that. Okay. And then the next slide, Ron, if you would. Now, I know the public are going to be able to see this, but we looked at, can we reimburse the county? Are we going to have sufficient TIF revenues to reimburse the county? We analyzed our projected TIF revenues over the next decade. We took into account, and I'll mention this in another slide later on, but part of our sustainability plan for this facility is to cover the operating costs, some of the operating costs of the facility, in particular the utilities and repairs and maintenance. So that enables Brandon and Casey to come in there. They can pay their employees a little better because that's going to be hard for him to find those employees for that facility. So he can afford to pay his employees a little better because he doesn't need to worry about paying this month's electric bill. Or if there's a sink that's leaking, we would cover those costs. So we've estimated those costs based on what we're using right now in terms of utilities, which is under $100,000 a year. We started with $200,000. I escalated that by 2.5% a year. We also have some other TIF expenses that we need to pay for annually. Again, I started with $50,000 more than we need, but I increased that by 2.5% a year. Added those numbers up, subtracted them from how much TIF we're projected to get, and it turns out that by 2035 we could reimburse the county by within $20,000 of that 1.5 over that 10-year period. In fact, we have budgeted, you will see this during the budget hearings, we budgeted $75,000 to start to pay back next year out of TIP money. So this, again, think of this more as an advance as opposed to money you're not going to get back. Right. Just go to that next. So it is, how do we sustain it? We've partnered with a quality provider, Casey, to operate the facility. Our goal is to get that, there's a rating system, pathways to quality or paths to quality. Level 1 is kind of their lowest rating, level 4 is their highest rating. The goal here is to make this a level 4 facility. We do not have a level 4 facility in the county, but I feel very confident that we're going to be able to get there with Casey. Because they are the people who know how to do this, actually. We want to work with our major local employers, such as Elanco, White Construction, Duke Energy, International Paper, to support this facility. Elanco is, I know, very interested in this facility. They've been out there with us to look at the facility. Brandon and I had an email a couple weeks ago from the plant manager. They have a new plant manager. He wants to come see it. They're very excited about this because they're going to benefit from it tremendously. And we want to take advantage of our bigger employers because we think this is going to be a great asset for them. But we're going to utilize the TIF funds from nearby Elanco TIF district to financially support this facility, $200,000 a year to start, towards utilities, repairs, maintenance, so forth, allowing the operator to pay more competitive wages, provide more programming, and hopefully we can get some additional community services in the remaining part of the building that are complementary, senior, after school, counseling, whatever the case may be. So, I think is that it, Ron? I mean, I think, yeah, there's Ernie. We did promise the school corporation we would keep the name, Ernie File, for those of us who went there or who were on the museum board, that's like me. We want to do that, because that's a good legacy to have. I don't know, you guys want to say anything? I talked about the commission members want to say anything.
Scott, before they speak, can I ask one question?
Yeah.
Did you repeat the information about Lilly Endowment? What was their stance, or what was the?
We applied for a grant from them back in 24, and there was a preliminary round. We made it past that. We got to the second round. At that point, we did not get the grant. They really told us why. In hindsight, I can see why. We didn't have an operator at that point. We didn't have actual costs at that point. We had guesstimates. We just weren't as evolved, I think, as we are now, and so we didn't get it.
And just from my understanding, they're not associated with Elanco or Eli Lilly Company, just so everyone's clear, that because we have a TIF district employer who's interested in the project, and it sort of sounds like the parent company's not interested, but I don't think that's the case.
No, the foundation is totally separate from it. Elanco's actually totally separate from Eli Lilly nowadays.
Yeah, right.
So,
That's why I just want to make the clarification, because sometimes it sounds.
But you can, moving forward, apply.
We are hoping to, this cost, the one thing we're missing from this cost is the furnitures and fixtures, playground equipment, classroom stuff. And so I've been telling Brandon that's our, once we get the funding together to get construction started, our next mission is to go out and try and raise the money for that stuff. Brandon was out there a week ago, meeting with some playground equipment people to see what parts of the playground equipment we can't reuse. Some of it we can, but there's going to be a lot of new stuff that's needed because you're dealing with smaller children. And then the classroom stuff is going to be, we got to furnish all these classrooms. And there's cost in doing that. We've talked about different ideas. I talked to somebody the other day who said, what you should do is come up with a per classroom cost, and then you can go to Duke or International Paper and say, hey, why don't you sponsor this classroom? We'll put your name outside of it, and you can fund that class.
I have that.
Brandon had that already, so he's good. Brandon's the guy, if you don't know, Brandon he's the best fundraiser in this room, I think. You may have seen him on Dancing with the Stars, but he is tremendous at this, and so we're fortunate to be partnered with somebody like him. And I know, like I said, the plant manager at Elanco has reached out to us, wants to see the facility, and they're going to be one of our big asks to help fund this in terms of the classroom and the playground stuff. So. And then I don't know if you have construction questions. I don't know how to answer them, but that's why Seth and Ashley are here. I don't have any answers to those questions.
Is there a timeline to get, like,
Thank you. So part of the reason we're here tonight is because we open bids. And so when you open bids, that starts the clock ticking on when we need to award. But that's also been pushed somewhat by, the first grant we got was from Ready 2.0. And we're the only entity, there were several applicants, a lot of applicants for that money. They did not get as much money as they had hoped to get. I know that they were unfairly treated by the state, but any rate, they are pressuring us. They wanted us to have our finances, okay, show us you can do this by June 30th. And we went to them and said, hey, look, we need a little bit more time. Can you give us some more time? They said, sure, we'll give you another month. So they are pressing us to have our finances in order to show that we can pay for this by the end of this month. You're a big part of that. So we told them we would ask to be on your agenda in July. You asked for this money, and so here we are in July to do this. But our goal here would be to, if you approve this tonight, we do need to lock in that United Way money. We're working diligently towards doing that. We just opened these new bids last week, so we got to feed them that information next. Would be to have this under contract sometime in August probably, and then start construction probably September. I think it's what, 6 months, 7 months.
No, about 10 months.
About 10 months, okay.
Now that's just for the phase one. When we add up 2 phases, kind of adds about a month for each phase.
So a little bit more time than originally anticipated because of the additional work, but you know, it's a big job.
so potentially by the start of the school year next year?
Potentially.
More time to raise money for the playground, but
Are the additional, or the wing that would be other type of space, is that like trying to seek tenants or something that pays some sort of lease agreement? Is that,
ideally, yes. At
because
least
you don't want to
we don't want to pay for the
count
renovations
on
necessarily. We
services.
certainly would want them to do their own renovations. If we could use, we're not necessarily in it to make money, I don't think, but if we could get enough in rent from tenants to offset the utility costs for the building and stuff like that,
So
that'd be ideal.
it's like if the county were to put an office in there, we're not gonna pay anything, so you don't
Right.
really want us. to do
Right.
it, so.
Well, there's like 9, so one maybe, but, you know, ideally it would be something that would generate some revenues that could be used to offset operating costs.
And hopefully relatable businesses or
I mean,
similar.
I think that's been our discussion, is something that's complementary in terms of services to the community. Doesn't necessarily have to be kids. I mean, I think kids would be nice, but it could be elderly, it could be GED, and stuff like that.
Not much elder care around here, that would fit pretty good.
Yeah, and so, we joke with Doc Southern, because he's one of our board members, and we always talk about, it's gonna be Doc's daycare, but, we, you know, there are rules about who can be, I've been asked this question too, can other people use it's a great kitchen, this kitchen is, I mean, it's nice. Can we use that kitchen, can we use that cafeteria, is really nice, can we use that gym? Not while daycare's open, no. But is there a possibility that if they're closed on Saturdays, could we get, because they have security rules and things like, you can't just have people wandering in and out. But there would certainly be some possibilities when the daycare is not operable to use those facilities for other community events too, I think. I mean, I'm biased because I went to school there myself, but it's really a big building, it's really in pretty good shape. It needs, you know, the school corporation did a good job of maintaining it up until they decided to close it. So it's in good shape. It's big, it's nice.
Who would decide tenants then, like,
Redevelopment Commission.
so they could say, man, we really don't want that here, so it's strictly their.
You know, we've had cars talk to us, or emailed us. We had some Thrive that's come out and looked at it. Some people looked at it for housing. It's not good for housing, because the kind of housing they were looking to do is like elderly, and the elderly don't want to be that far out at Ernie Pot. It's too, you know, they want to be close to grocery stores and gas stations and things like that. So I don't think it's got great potential there, but I think it certainly could serve. I think the biggest thing, Brandon, I speak for him, but be a wonderful place for camps, like summer camps, because you've got all this acreage out there. You've got creek, and there were already things out there. There's like a nature trail, prairie grass and stuff like that. So it's got some good potential there, certainly. But we haven't devoted a lot of time to that, to be honest with you.
So the intent would be trying to use local subcontractors?
Well, the main contractors you saw there are all within the region, I think. I've only seen one list of subcontractors so far, and it was the guy named Dunkley Excavating, who's from New Goshen, was one of the subs for F.E. Moore. I don't know if you've had any other, do we have any other local subs that you've seen?
One was from Danville.
Yeah, there's a company from Danville that's involved, mostly Terre Haute, though.
Electricians are from Danville, Illinois. F.E. Moran is out of Indianapolis. There aren't any suppression systems or suppression contractors around here. But yes, it was bid with Indiana Code 532 in mind, so it was opened up to the public. So there is a requirement in Indiana to be registered with the Indiana Department of Administration, so that did scare off a few people, but that is a requirement for public dollars to be involved. So if you were registered with the IDOA, you're more than welcome to do paperwork and fill out and bid the project. But it was solicited twice throughout the newspapers in Terre Haute and in locally, this Terre Haute. And then that is all code was followed by Indiana Code 532.
And subs don't necessarily have to be, unless they're over a certain level threshold of work, they don't have to be registered. But, it's BNS Plumbing is the biggest one probably because they're mechanical. Who's the
General Trades.
General Trades?
Strode Construction.
Strode, yeah. Strode is a Terre Haute company, right?
Correct.
Yeah, they did, I know they did St. Mary's water stuff. They do a lot of ISU stuff. So I don't know who they use. I know, yeah, but I can also take Strode use local guys to do their excavating work from St. Mary's.
And most of these companies are also union
Yeah.
affiliated companies, so they pull from the local labor pool.
They're all union, aren't they?
They all were.
I think they're all union.
Yeah. So.
I feel like I constantly see posts on Facebook and different groups asking for childcare. I mean, I know it is in dire need. I know when we first took the Ray Proud building, I had gone on visits for childcare facilities in Terre Haute and level 4s, and they have over 100% wait lists. And the odds of getting your spot for your kid at the right time is not always a good chance. And it's not just one, it's like all of them in Terre Haute. They're at capacity.
What, you want to talk about your experience? Grant is opening one right now, so. Go ahead.
Answer any questions too. So they're working on ours right now. So we're currently building a 192 kid childcare center on the east side of Terre Haute. Hannig is doing the work. One of those same folks are working on ours. Halstead Architects, the ones again. I mean, it is regulated down to how much light is in the room, and the FSSA will go to the corner and figure out how much light is in the room. It is the playground equipment, right? Everything is regulated. We were talking about like shared space. If I have an after school or summer camp, which I'd like to, specifically for families who have, let's say you have a second grader and a 2-year-old, how great would it be for you to be able to drop both of them off at summertime? That way you're not running to a summer camp and you're not running to after school care. But even with those kids, that's where I would put them in the wing, because the summer camp kids aren't even allowed to be in the child care section of it, so it's highly, highly regulated. I will tell you, ours is going to open up next week, and I just checked this last week, and not next week, next month. I said that earlier today. I know we've been working on it for so long. So yes. Ashley's like, no, I still need to raise some more money there too. So we have almost 100 kids on the wait list for there. So, and it will, our goal is to be level 4. I will say level 4, there are 0 level 4 child care providers in Vermilion County. You might have 1 or 2 level 3s, but one at least. To be a level 4, it will take us, it's going to help us the fact that we'll have a maybe fast track on, or we'll be able to get one in Vigo County, because once you're licensed for one, you can get another one if it's under the same umbrella a little faster. But it's going to be a minimum a year and most likely 18 months for us to even get to level 4, because that's a national accreditation. And so that's a national body coming in accrediting you, saying that you have everything built. And we're building these. We will build these or that they're building up, Scott is working on it to make sure that everything we have will be at that standard. But I think that really, there is a need in Vermilion County. I think that you have a lot of folks who probably work in Elanco, like, some of these other folks that live out of town that are taking their kids to Vigo County because you just don't have the capacity for childcare, or vice versa across the northern border, state border.
I think there's people on that list in Vigo County that'll bring the money.
I think you do, especially if you're working at Elanco. I think that if they're working there, I mean, hey, we're 5 minutes from Elanco's, doorstep there that you can drop off, and make a life a little bit easier. And that's one thing that we'll look at, is that where is the need, and being a nonprofit child care center, and the generous, when he first approached me about it, I was like, I don't know if I can run 2 of them at the capacity with the expenses. He goes, well, what if we pay for the utilities and the upkeep? And I was like, now you're talking. Now we can maybe manage some of that and truly look at it in the sense, what are some of your needs? Go to Elanco and say, would you be willing to do continued support for the child care center, in the sense of what are your hours that you need? I know there's always, everybody always talks about overnights. Overnights are tough, in the mindset of a parent. It's one thing to drop your off. It doesn't make any sense because you're still dropping your kid off for care during the day, but to drop them off at night, parents struggle with that for whatever. They just do. They're fine dropping them off during the day, but to stay overnight is a whole different. And generally, for the overnights, they can find a family member to watch their kiddo overnights. So, but we would still figure out the pulse for the community, and that's the one thing that we do. And we've served Vermilion County as an agency for many years too. When you talk about counseling services, that's, we have counseling services. There are things that I look at that west wing essentially, saying, summer camps, after school care if necessary, counseling services. There are other things that my agent, that Casey, could come up on top of the child care to provide the community. So.
Sounds like there's a lot of possibilities.
Yeah.
There's just, you're blessed to have a bill, and I will tell you, you're blessed, you're at 4.4 million. I'm at 8.2 million. So
The facility, though, at Vigo County was not anything like the school. It was mostly a warehouse.
I'm on a warehouse, yeah.
So it was going to require quite a bit more construction. So in your mind, is what we have more ideal for what the cause is?
And that's one thing that I mentioned, that if you're fortunate, so Indiana right now, see the school corporation, if they could have given me a school, but what the schools have to do now is if they want to give a school, they have to give it up an opportunity for a charter school to come in. And so in Vigo County or Terre Haute, they would have had a charter school come in. I would never have had an opportunity. Otherwise, I probably would have taken a school that had the upkeep done and everything else. No, we bought a warehouse that and a church that was attached to it. So we have 192 kids, 35,000 square feet. It's roughly actually the same size. I've got another warehouse that we're leasing back to the folks that we bought the building off of, but it's 50,000 square feet as well. So there's a phase 2 that potentially for me that I could go into. What I encourage for them is like, if we can do phase 1 and 2 now, so then we're not dealing with having folks coming in of an evening or early morning before the kiddos get there for construction purposes.
Yeah.
And really, there are so many regulations. I mean, and beyond that I even know. So I've hired somebody to run ours. She'll be overseeing both of them essentially. She's done childcare for many years. Started out at St. Pat's, worked for Vigo County's childcare, and then what we do is we have some site directors at each of them.
I guess my point was to add to that would be the school was the original intent of the school was to house or have children there to do things with the rooms, the cafeteria, all these things.
Mm-hmm.
And by not having all of that in place to begin with, substantially more costly. So if we don't consider this, and we do down the road, and that's not available anymore, then you got a real problem. So the cost increases many times.
And I would add too that your costs are just going up as we speak.
Not only that, the time factor, plus if we ended up with just essentially they had a shell was all they had. We have something that's completely almost inhabitable right now.
You really
Was a
do.
school not long ago. So
Well, there's plumbing in places that we didn't have that they've had to go through and trench out concrete as a.
So you almost have a whole new slab through that, your entire building.
Yes, we had to put
There's
plumbing,
no plumbing.
there was no plumbing, we had to put plumbing everywhere. I wasn't, they were glad that they didn't have to hand it, they could bring the machines in.
Yeah, that was nice. They were
So
able
that
to
was
bring
a-
their machines right next to the warehouse with large openings, but yeah.
But I mean, it is, it doesn't look like a warehouse, and I also had to overcome the fact that when I first saw the warehouse, and I said, we're gonna do this, then there were some folks who couldn't see past it being a warehouse. And all they see are kids running around in the warehouse. I said, I promise you, it will not look like a warehouse when we're done. You guys at least have that school factor, absolutely, like people see it. I think the community can get behind it, especially folks that were probably sad that it didn't close as an elementary school. It's being reborn to serving kiddos that are even younger from 6 weeks to 5-year-olds.
I don't think there'll be another opportunity in this county unless there's another school that's closed or something of that nature.
I mean, and I can share with you too what the classrooms will look like. I'll give that file to you. We're going to use Kaplan, which is I'm going to be able to mirror much of what I'm doing now. So we figured it out in Vigo County as far as, and we'll figure out too what's not working and what is working. We're going to experiment in Terre Haute, and we'll take those experiments and then be able to fine tune them in early pile. But from everything so you have infants, and I've learned a lot about this. You'll never see. I raise the money, write the grants. I will not be caring for the children. I went to school to be a teacher, but not the little ones. But you have infants that go up to a year, and then you have toddlers that are 2 to 3 year olds. No, 1 to 2 year olds. 2s that are 2 to 3 year olds and 3 to 5 year olds. So you have different classrooms even within all of those. So.
I don't know you, and you don't know me. So tell me a little bit about you, your credentials, what you've done, your background, so why are you a great provider?
Well, so for me, I worked in this field for nearly October will be 29 years. I started working at Chances when I was 18 years old in college, and I've never left. It's been the only full-time job I've had. I've worked with after-school programming, summer camps. Our agency has worked with child care since 1971. What Casey did prior to was really provide support to all the child care providers. The state of Indiana has made some changes since we've seen, and so we no longer provide the support. They took that away. They're doing it at a statewide level versus local. And so we've operated a community center in Terre Haute for 20 years, almost 20 years now, 18 years. We offer counseling services. It's really a hub of different types of programming. So everything from before and after school care, summer camps, counseling services, and now I'm going into child care. So we've worked with, like I said, child care providers for over 50 years. And that's where we saw it as a need in Terre Haute. Everybody's kicking the can down the street and everything. Unfortunately, you got somebody like Scott who's like, hey, let's just do this at a little bit. But we had the same issue that people were like, we need childcare, but nobody was raising their hand saying, I'll do it. And finally, I pulled a group together about 3 years ago, and here we are about to open up our own childcare center. But we've been in this field since 1971, working in the community. I've been here since 1997, and personally, I have a degree in education, but I was going to be a high school history teacher. Just didn't go down that path. So I have a lot of fun facts of history facts for everybody, but when it comes to I've done a lot of after school programs, summer camps, run all of those. But for me, working with the families that I've worked with for nearly 30 years, I realized that the earliest stage of prevention is as soon as we lose the kid. And so we can have them at 6 weeks old in quality programming, kindergarten ready, providing any of those wraparound services to that family unit. Then that's really, in addition to child care, we'd like to see, can we provide wraparound services to our families? I mean, in the prevention science, I'll get back to Scott. Scott and I can both talk a lot, so you probably are in trouble. I realize this. But in the prevention world, the way we have an analogy is that if we have, in our community, if we have fish in a pond, and the fish are sick, and we take those fish out, make them better, we put them back into the pond that's not treated, they're going to be sick again. So for us, that's what we realized early on too, is that we can be working with these kids all day long in after school, summer camps, and we're providing great programming. But if we're not helping that family get the best we can, then they're just going back to the same situation. And that's what I love about child care, is that how can we provide these wraparound services? I would love to have counseling services in that wing. Eventually, with our staff, could we have play therapy, could we have other things, could we have other services that we're helping provide, whether it's First Steps or whoever else is coming in, just to help with the families and the kids. So, I mean, that's truly being a nonprofit, that our goal is to provide a good income to the staff, and, you know, again, we're not looking to make, I want to cover our bills.
I was gonna say that, I went to a couple of these sites too, and this is not just stick a kid in a chair and give him some Play-Doh and come back and check on him every couple hours. There's a whole curriculum. Now, not for the infants, of course, but as, you know, there's a whole developed curriculum that they, and this have to be improved. I mean, this is not, it gives these kids a head start basically on education. So, the school corp, that's one of the reasons the school corporation was excited about selling us this building cheaply, is because they looked at it as being kind of a tool to start to get kids started with schooling quicker. They also saw it as an opportunity to, I looked at some statistics. We need to do stuff to get people to live in our county and stay in our county if we can. Not everybody who sends their kid to this school is going to live here, but maybe a couple of them decide, hey, this place is pretty nice. I'm working at Duke, wherever. Maybe I'm just working at, Union Hospital. I think I could live up here. It's a nice place. And my kids already know these other kids from daycare. Let's just go ahead and send them to kindergarten, wherever. I look at it as an opportunity to. It's not going to. This is not going to convince. This is not going to be. I'm not going to call Google tomorrow and say, hey, we got an early childhood education center. When you coming? But if we're talking to companies who are interested in locating or expanding in Vermilion County, I think it's going to be a tremendous tool for us to be able to promote and talk to them about, hey, we do have this facility, and this is something that your employees can take advantage of. And Taylor's here. Taylor, would you mind just explaining why you gave us $500,000? Because
it wasn't mine.
From a statewide, I know this.
Yeah, I don't want to crowd the area up there, but yeah. So, like Scott said, my name is Taylor Powell. I took over the community foundation for Dale White after he retired after 20 years. I was an attorney for 8 years, as Beth Devlin at Wabash Valley Butte County says, she's a recovering attorney. I like that. So I'm a recovering attorney. I've been doing this now for just 6 months, but I was on the board for about 5 years prior. As Scott said in his presentation, that study that was done, the feasibility study, that identified child care as a real need in Vermilion County. So we serve Fountain and Vermilion counties. The Lilly Endowment pushed out a new initiative, we have 9, and part of it is community support grant, which has $750,000 based on our county size. It says, hey, grant it out within the next few years. Tell us what you're identifying. And so for Vermilion County, we identified child care as the big, hey, let's push money into this. Fountain County, it was recreation. The board just gave $25,000 or so to the Valley there in Clinton to kind of expand their services a little bit so they can go, I think, maybe a year or so younger. As far as the need, I don't have anything more to add other than the study that identified it as a need, all of what's been said so far on that. I think from the study, the board just felt, hey, this is a great opportunity for the board to really make a meaningful grant, because $500,000, $750,000, even $500,000 is well beyond what Vermilion County Foundation can give out annually. So Lily's help with this gift initiative was great, and the board very quickly. There was not a whole lot of discussion. Don't tell Lily, but there was not a whole lot of discussion on it. They would say this is a great project. Can we give $500,000 to support this? And as you guys know, Scott and all the teams done a whole lot of work. I know I've been looking at it since I was on, like I said, the board for a few years. They started. It's cool to see how close they are to getting that. I think it's a great opportunity for the county. Everything he said. I'm sure if you haven't already, if you talk to the schools, sometimes a lot of teachers, teacher retention and teacher recruitment, a lot of times comes down to child care. I know we've had that issue in Covington a lot. But in addition to all the other employers that he's talked about.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I don't know if Scott mentioned it, I don't know if you want to talk about the match component of that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, okay, so the match component of United. Oh, sorry.
Microphone, pick it up.
Yeah, that's a good idea, sorry.
Streaming work like that.
I'm sorry. I know. I apologize. So the match component of the United Way grant, our 500,000 is not eligible because the United Way grant is also based on Lilly endowment money. And our 500 is Lilly endowment money. So that 500 isn't eligible for the 1.5 match. So I think this from the county is important also to help get to the 1.5 match level. So
Yes, thank you. Yeah, the math is complicated.
thank you.
But I do want to just, even though Lilly Endowment did not award us directly, essentially, we're asking them for we're going to hopefully get $2 million from them before it's all said and done.
Yeah, and I in no way meant to imply that they don't help the Wabash Valleys, and they're unbelievably good to this area, no doubt. So I'm sure the reasons Scott mentioned were reasons why maybe they couldn't go to level 2 on the funding.
Does anyone know about the schools and the grading system? Did that come back into fruition when it was on hold? I thought I read something about that, I could be wrong.
For child
The
care?
no, for the public schools, so I'm just sitting up here thinking that would enhance the local schools,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
raising the grade of the public schools by,
Absolute credibility.
did that make sense?
I
Sometimes
understand.
it's here and it doesn't come out.
The schools are going back to the grading
Yeah, the
system,
grading
like the
system.
A, B, C.
Oh,
You're saying if they have an early childhood
Yeah,
education.
that would be a bonus.
It trickles into the
Start
Local schools.
smarter.
Yeah.
Start out knowing more.
I follow.
And
Okay, good. Thank you.
I guess, councils can provide funds to build the nicest buildings you could imagine, and facilities. We have the greatest operator managers in the world. How about who works there? I mean, how are those people chosen? Because that's really, that's 99% of success is gonna be the people that work there. So how do you choose? Because, some parents would say, well, I gotta hand my child over to somebody all day. I wanna know who it is, or what credentials do they have, or what process.
So first of all, with the state of Indiana on a bare basic is like background checks, like fingerprint and drug screening and across the board. So first of all of that. If we're, which our goal will be to be a pass quality 4, over 50% of the staff have to have a child development accreditation. So essentially, your classroom leads have to be accredited in child care, whether they receive that through ID Tech, ISU, on their own, so through a certifying body, they have to be accredited. So you will have an accredited staff member in every classroom. And that's really the basis beyond that. And again, hiring some of those, we're going to be looking, you're still looking at the $16 to $18. That's what we're paying in Terre Haute, $16 to $18 an hour. Again, with us versus others, I'll tell you, being a nonprofit, maybe after I get things too, I'll have enough staff to get health insurance. We don't have health insurance. If you're a nonprofit, that just is the way it is a lot of times. However, with these staff members, again, getting a good group of folks, we do offer retirement benefits. We $3,000 a year towards retirement. We offer paid vacation and sick days that a lot of child care providers just can't afford to do. That being, again, a nonprofit child care operator, we'll be able to make sure that we're getting a good cream of the crop of staffing. But it's the education piece, and it's the director level at that level, again, making sure that they've all been operating child. I'll give you a prime example. I think that we find site directors that would come here and work. We're probably looking for in the range of $55,000 a year to hire a site director here. Honestly, would be my range, that 50 to 55,000. It's ironic that we're talking about Lilly because the site director. I've hired a director, but the assistant director, who will be the site director in Terre Haute, actually is working at Eli Lilly's Child Care Center now and has 30 years of experience. She's deciding to come back to Terre Haute region and wants to work in child care here versus drawing. So I think that we'll find good folks. I also think that you're still 30 minutes. I always say that we're just 30 minutes from downtown Terre Haute. I can make it from downtown.
I could get 15.
You got a life. Yes, helps a little bit. But I mean, so, I mean, we can share some of those resources between the two as well. So, you know, so that if we are short staffed or anything, that we'll be able to share between the two centers as well. Because we are going to mirror, quite frankly, we're going to have the same, everything that I'm doing in Terre Haute, as far as education, as far as classroom materials, as far as you name it, we're going to mirror that in Friendly Pine. It'll be just a slightly smaller.
You have good confidence in staff.
I do. I wouldn't be here, honestly. I wouldn't. I believe. You know, I wouldn't do it if I didn't think so. I mean, the same could be said for. I'll tell you right now. In Vigo County, I had 20 people apply for the director's position. I had probably 30 apply for the assistant director, and we've had 200 applicants for the child care workforce, which shocked me. I will tell you. I'll be honest. It shocked me. But I also know that I also have 100 kids on a wait list, and I don't know how many of those will convert. I know that I doubt I get all 100 of them. But let's say I get 75%, I'm going to have to hit the ground running with almost all of our infant classrooms full. I mean, that's so your first one's going to fill up your infants. Unfortunately, too, those are also the most expensive ones because those are like 1-to-4 ratios. The next age group is 1-to-5, and so you slowly work your way up to your 3 to 5 year olds, which are 1 to 15, I think, or something like that. Again, I'm not running those. I just know enough to. Sometimes I just know enough to be dangerous out there with some of those numbers. But I think we'll find it, and if we don't find it, I think we can pay enough for people to drive up here. I really do. I will tell you right now too, the going rate for child care providers in this area, I'm going to be paying more than ISU pays, and I purposely did that. I'll just tell you, I purposely did it just so that I can make sure that I'm going to get qualified folks. And we're going to work with your school corporation to ensure with, like South Vermilion, I know that Melanie Beaver over there at South Vermilion, I would love to ensure that your CDA program, that's what we're wanting to do in Vigo County as well, ensuring that you have ready-made high schoolers that will earn that CDA through high school, and the minute they graduate in May, I can employ them in June.
That was my next question, actually. If you were going to be able to work with the high school programs that they have.
I mean, I would love to have, on that third wing too, could we have a classroom there already set up? It's already set up as classrooms. Have a classroom there where we have maybe on-site instruction there, that they can come over. The state has relaxed some of their rules a little bit on child care. We're still going to hold to maybe a little bit more strict rules. I think you can have up to 12 infants in it. That's too many infants in a room. We're still going to do 8 infants to a classroom, things like that. But we can actually maybe have some of our ratios helped a little bit by high schoolers who are coming here, maybe working half a day, and getting that hands-on experience as they're earning a CDA and becoming a workforce ready as soon as they graduate with a job right in their backyard.
I know the high school, South Vermilion, helps with the free kindergarten because we did the TB testing through the health department and CPR.
Okay, I thought they were working somewhat with it.
Yeah, I don't know how many hours or how, if it's just a period, but yeah, I do know that they do have students that help with the free kindergarten because it's there at the high school.
Yep. TB testing, that's another test they have to have. I forgot about that. Yeah, when I say there's a list from background to criminal to sex offender registry to CPS checks to, there's like a laundry list that they have to go through just on an individual basis before they're even, which is why we're so strict on, if you're entering the building, first of all, if you're not a parent, why are you there? And then you're going to be escorted around. The doors will be locked. We'll have security that way. There'll be a key fob entrance, just like kind of like schools are. I mean, it's a mini school, really. So
You have to have officers there, like law enforcement or something?
we don't. We will have it set up. I'm sure we'll have it set up the same as our Valley Terre Haute. I'll have it to where you can get through the first entrance just to get in out of the elements, but then they're like the vestibule area, but then it'll be locked off from there. So you'll be able to get in, but from there you'll have somebody working a staff where they'll have to be buzzed in, where the staff will have to come up to let them. So.
I don't want to get down into the details of the design, but those are all glass doors where you can see in. They're going to be changed and all that.
I don't think so. No. Ours are all glass right now.
They do gain access controls.
Yeah.
That is a requirement to have access controls throughout the building. So that you can know exactly who's leaving each room, they each have their own code, they have their own key fob, access controls are required.
We make, I mean, we make it as secure as we possibly can, I mean, honestly. You know, I mean, it's one of those, I mean, even like, I mean, we're located, actually, it's kind of funny that, you're located with fields around us, we're kind of the same way in Terre Haute. We purchased that warehouse on the east side, that it's very quiet up there, there's woods surrounding us, so we put alarms on all the doors to make sure, because it's like, what happens when a kid opens the door? You know, something like that, that's just like, you'll be here to make sure.
But they're nearly finished, and you guys want to open the doors for you, but
No.
yeah, you're welcome to come take a tour.
We actually love it, because what you're seeing out, because Halstead and the architect and Hannig are both doing ours as well. So you'll be able to see exactly what the classroom will look like. And we'll be able to show you, we'll have a private tour for the council and whoever else from the county for redevelopment. So come on down, take a look here at the classroom, see what they're going to set up. You'll be impressed. I will tell you that the playground equipment and the classrooms for me right now are the playground. It'll be the playground equipment. I'm going to guess around $350,000 for playground equipment, because you've got to have it divided out to 3 areas. Right now my classroom equipment is roughly around $250,000, but I've got a few more classrooms. So some of these numbers. For about $550 for about $500,000 for all of it, a little more, maybe $500,000. It'll be less because you won't have as many classrooms. I've got what do I have? 16 classrooms over there, and you won't have that many here. So, but I can break it out by classroom based on age. I've got a spreadsheet that does all that. And then I've got a design too, so you can actually see the designs of what they're looking. And Kaplan does a great job. They'll come in, they'll put it all together for us. They set it up. And away you go. But
I think it has the potential to provide a lot of opportunities for not just economic growth, but like the kids, families. I mean, the potential in that building is almost endless, it seems like, at this point.
Schools.
Yeah.
like I think with the potential matching grant from the United Way, that this is why I think that Scott has set up in the council, that you have an opportunity to make something that's going to be generational change, truly. So that's my take.
Are there any other questions for anyone? Thank you. Thank you very much. Bill?
Bill Reynolds, I represent the May County RDA boards, and the RIDI grant is a big piece of this. I'm going to make a funding pitch, and that is I've been working with the Redevelopment Commission for probably the last year and a half, and the phase 1 that Scott explained all this very well, phase 1, 2, and 3. Phase 1 would just get us in. It would take care of the plumbing, heating, air conditioning, fire suppression. But phase 2 and phase 3 would finish out the interiors of the building. Phase 2, the center and east wing. Phase 3 would finish out the west wing. So the point I want to make is, actually, Seth, you can correct me if I'm wrong. My assumption would be that anyone that bid this with not alternates but options for phase 2 and phase 3, in addition to the base bid, would be probably that bid with the expectation of being done while on site and mobilized. So if we do that at a later time and they have to remobilize for that, you'd be talking a whole different set of numbers. So my appeal is we'd like to see the whole thing done at one time. It would be the most cost-effective way to do it and least disruptive. Thank you.
Phase 3 don't cover rooms, all right?
It's the green western.
I thought I seen on your email.
It's not the interior of the classroom, if I'm right?
It's just so updating the restrooms to make better
the hallway,
functioning, and then the corridor,
Roll
and lighting.
There you go. Well,
And
back
ceiling
up.
panels, 'cause the
There it
ceiling
is.
panels through there are all they're warped and it's kind of in bad shape. So we're keeping the grid, just going in and replacing the panels.
Then we'll cover all the mechanical work.
Yes, all the mechanicals and base bid.
That's included in your original price. That's why that first number is the largest. That has all of your mechanicals, it has all of your HVAC, fire suppression.
I'm talking about the west wing.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's in base bid.
It has to all be in at the same time. The fire suppression has to be through the whole building first.
Yes.
Yeah, but that plumbing don't have to be in.
No, the plumbing is just for the green wing, the west wing there, the plumbing is in the alternate number. So, but the mechanical within that green is in our base bid. Because we had to revamp the mechanical system and install the fire suppression for the entire building for the systems to work.
It's all one system.
So will the 1.5 then encompass the plumbing as well?
Yeah.
The additional?
Your portion of the 1.5 would do the total price.
I think we'll do that, the entire building.
It's all LED lighting, right?
Yeah, and like you mentioned, it has to be, we had to add lighting.
So,
Like I say, they'll already be there.
Yeah, the lighting in here would not work.
Right.
You would need about 4 times more lights in here.
So like your after-school programs that you mentioned, or the summer programs, by doing the West Wing, you could put, those classrooms are essentially then have all the mechanicals, all the needs. You could just go right in and use those rooms for summer programs and things.
I could potentially, so depending on if we open next school year, it would probably be summer of 2028, but yes.
Okay.
And that's, so we'd have these doors locked off right here, but I would be able to have access, which is kind of like what we're doing in Terre Haute. It's in the back half of the building.
there's another entrance to the school. If you went to school there or at Van Dyne, the teachers had their own entrance to the teachers' lounge, right about here. So the idea in this phase would be you make that its own entryway, so they don't have to go in the main doors. They've got their own entryway in through what used to be the
Would there
teachers'
still be interior access to the different wings? Or?
Yes, but it'd be locked off, because we have to lock it.
There's an interior door there that is required again for access control, state requirement.
I was just wondering if we'd have an additional cost to add in those other programs, but if we do it all with this 1.5 in the match, then it would be ready to go.
Yes.
So fortunately, on the access, or on the summer camp programming, the licensing is I might mess up the term here. It's not a license. Anyway, it's not as strict for the school agers as it is for your,
right,
which makes life a lot easier.
Okay.
Yeah, those rooms are all in pretty good shape. The two kindergarten rooms are, in less good shape, I would say. They have there's a leak in one, or we had a leak in one, right?
Still there.
Yeah, there's plumbing in there, they've got exterior walls, and they froze up this winter. And one room has, I don't know where they come from, there was like a fly infestation, so it's not great. There's some windows busted, that sort of stuff. So, but most of those rooms are actually in pretty good shape. Now, it depends on who the tenant is and what they're doing. Some of them you could probably, they were used as classrooms up until 3 years ago. They're in good shape. But if you have a specific need, like, hey, we need to have a waiting room area out here, then that would be up to the tenant to put in, that kind of wall or whatever they needed to do that. So,
Unfortunately, you have like the playground equipment in existence now for your school agers, because they were school agers when they were there, so we get access to all of that. The cafeteria, again, for us, I'd have to check with my staff. I don't even know if I can bring the kids after school or summer camp kids through the building into the cafeteria. It may be something that we bring the food from the cafeteria to serve them on it. There's so many. And again, I only know enough regulations just to be able to talk to folks like you.
Yeah, the first time we went out there, the school was still open, and we met out there with some folks from Elanco to look at it, to see what they thought about the possibility of doing this. They were very excited about it. But we had people from Casey there with us, because we were like, oh, this looks great. And they're like, yeah, you got to put a door here, you got to put this here. And I was like, what? So they were really the experts. It wasn't Brandon. But they were really the experts in showing us what all the needs were. If you think why it's, this is a kindergarten room, why can't other littler kids use it? It's because they're regulated by different entities who have different rules.
You have to have the sinks that are, I feel sorry for the teachers who are helping the kids that are constantly going to be bending over for all those, but the sinks are down. I mean, everything is so regulated on that. But I mean, really, you've got, like I said, you've got an asset here and an opportunity that I just so seldom do folks have this asset and this opportunity, honestly.
Thank you. The request is for $1.5 million, with the anticipation of it being paid back over the 10 years from the Redevelopment Commission's TIF revenues. This additional appropriation was advertised in 3 locations, so it can be, if someone makes a motion, I need to know which fund you would like to use. The general fund is the property tax money. The economic development comes from the income tax. And the other option that was advertised was the certified shares, which is also income-based. Even if it comes from the general, it doesn't affect any of the property tax rates or revenues that we generate there. It's just basically coming out of like our savings account at this time.
The place I did not advertise from that I thought about after the fact was rainy day, what else was possible, but I did not advertise that.
That's okay.
I would recommend the 9103 certified shares. That's what I would.
Yep, the certified shares is actually going to start changing too, once we have the new regulations from the state for income taxes, so there is enough money in there that is possible, so they will stay out of their property tax revenues.
Do you think certified shares instead of economic development?
Yeah, the balance, yeah. Certified shares can be used for any purpose, so, I mean, economic development, this would be economic development. I mean, economic development's also a broad usage too, but.
You can use it for anything. It doesn't have as much money in it cash-wise, I can tell you. It doesn't get as much cash-wise as the other ones do. I don't know what the,
It's got a profile, right?
certified shares, yeah. Economic development probably has closer to 1.5%.
Yeah.
It's got some investment money, so it doesn't have to show up, but
Or just repayment go to.
wherever we take it. Or you could split, I mean, you can split it.
Yeah, we
But if it's gonna be different,
So it just won't, like, we'll have that money and we can spend it, it just won't be continuing to accrue new money, just because the way they're changing, they're just dumping it on one account basically and then spreading it, like, having a budget out.
That's kind of what I was thinking about the future. How best would fit for us for our future.
I mean, if we take it out of any of them, and it gets, well, obviously in general funds, it's always in the but
I mean, we can always do a resolution to move certified shares over to general fund.
we'll just have to see what happens in the future.
Yeah.
We can do that.
So it's okay.
They just dump it straight in.
I'll make motion for the $1.5 million out of the 9103 certified shares fund.
I think it's an important project. It'll become part of the community. There's repayment on it as well. So I think it's a great use of the funds that we have. So I would second the motion made.
I have a motion from Mrs. Furry, second from Mr. Costello, for the additional appropriation of $1.5 million from the Fund 9103 certified shares going into the Redevelopment Commission capital outlays. Is there any further discussion?
Is it 1.5 even or 1.56?
We just need 1.5.
Oh, 1.5.
I didn't want to have money.
Yep.
Before I ask what my whole.
At one point, we were like $8,000 off, and I figured we could scrounge around and sell some used disciplinary file or something to come up with. Because they took a lot of stuff, but there's still, I mean, if you're looking for an AV card or some file cabinets, we can set you up.
I'll check with the
Extension office already came and took our best stuff, but,
I like file cabinets.
we got a lot of them. 4-H is used, we found there was a clay, that clay thing work out?
She's still in the process of getting that program.
There's all sorts of interesting stuff out there.
Okay. Any further discussion? Questions? All those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All those opposed state no. Appropriation is approved.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much.
Invite you to a ribbon cutting
Thank you.
soon. So here.
Keep up the good work. Look forward to it.
Thanks for coming and sharing.
Okay. The next additional appropriation is also from redevelopment.
Let me get a different folder.
Who's doing that one?
I'll talk a little bit about it, but
Okay.
I'm not as well prepared on this one, because I haven't been working on it as long.
Lori, do you want me to do yours next?
God, would you please?
Yes. Sorry, Scott.
No, they're good. Go ahead.
I'm gonna skip ahead. I was like, I'm sorry, should have done yours first.
Yours fine.
The additional appropriation this evening for the Vermillion County Health Department is for the Pfeiffer Grant 8111 fund. This is the budget that does not run from January to December. It runs the end of like July 1 to June 30th. And so they basically need us to reappropriate the money that they have left in that budget as of their June 30th end date and appropriate it for the rest of this calendar year. I hope that makes sense. We do this every year.
Yeah, it's every good every year.
Sorry.
I'll make that motion.
Right? That's it. This
Yes,
one?
it's,
Yep.
yeah,
Okay.
every year, it's renewed.
You make the motion?
Yes, I did.
I'll second.
All right. I have a motion from Mr. Weir, a second from Mr. Furry, for an additional appropriation of a total of $25,000 for the Pfeiffer Grant 8111. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, state no. All right, you're approved. Sorry.
Thank you. That's okay.
I mean, we just
It
wanted
was
to hang out
interesting
for a
about the
while.
early file.
Sorry.
That's very exciting for the county, I think.
Okay. Now we'll go back to the last one. Sorry. Yep.
I'll talk to you. You guys can all go ahead. So, this request is for $80,000, which we hope we would not have to use all of. But it is to pay for a feasibility study to examine the feasibility of a soybean crushing facility in Vermillion County. I'm not a farmer, so I mean, I see soybeans, that's that, I know what they are. But this was brought to us by some farmers in our community who saw an opportunity for, an opportunity for us to have a soybean crushing facility because of a lack of something like this in our area. So what is a soybean crushing facility? Like it sounds, it's a place you take your soybeans and they crush them. But what they do is they kind of through a cleaning process and then a mechanical process, they separate soybeans into different parts. There's a meal, there's some oils that come out of it that then can be used, and then there's some chemicals, or they sound like chemicals. I didn't understand what they were, but and these are there are some in our region generally. I think Lafayette maybe was maybe the closest one, and then certainly there's some places over in Illinois where they have these. But the question is, can we support? Do we have enough local farmers and enough local soybean production to support one in Vermillion County? Because what we were hearing is these farmers are driving their beans miles and miles and miles to drop them off in an elevator, who then has to transport them someplace else. Can we support one of these in Vermillion County? In particular, we'd be looking at, I think the look would be at two areas of the county, primarily along the I-74 corridor, because you need good transportation to all the beans. And we have good transportation network at the northern part of the county. We also, of course, have 63 running north to south, and I think they probably look at that as well. So we have been talking to S&P Global, who has agriculture. I mean, they're ag people, but they're really scientists and economists who can evaluate the feasibility, I keep using that word because that's what it is, of a soybean crushing facility in our county. And they look at what is the soybean production in our area. Well, where are the nearest facilities? Is there enough soybean production here to for this to be a marketable, viable enterprise for somebody to invest in? They also would need to look at, if we located it here, would it work? Does it have the road network? Does it have the whatever they need, water, sewer, electric, gas, to make something like this work? And so we've met with, I think we have this very, very thorough consulting agreement. And they've been working mostly with Riley Chu, who's a member of our redevelopment commission and whose family does a lot of farming around here. There used to be one of these facilities in Danville years ago, and it closed years ago. But there's a thought that this is needed again because of the changes in the agricultural industry. this is also a tool that then can be used. The next step of this is to do the feasibility, and it shows that yes, this is feasible in Vermillion County, and here's a couple potential locations for it. Then you gotta go and you gotta find the Cargill or the, ADM or Stanley or whoever, I don't know who all does these things, pretty big agro businesses, obviously, and say, hey, we've got a location for you, this would work, here it is, here's the math, it will work, we just need you to come build it. And so the reason that I said we're asking for 80, hopefully would not need it all, is we've applied for a grant from the Indiana Soybean Alliance that would fund up to half, I believe, of the project cost, because they believe that this is, and we were optimistic about getting that grant. They've been very supportive of what we did. Chin from S&P Global helped us put that grant application together. And they've been very supportive of this concept and looking at it because there's a need for, they think there's a need for a facility like this in our region as well. So the idea though was to go ahead and ask you for the 80 tonight. We wouldn't use it yet. We want to wait and see if and what we got in terms of grant. And if we did, either if we don't get the grant, we still have the money to go forward. If we do get the grant, then we would not need as much as we're asking for tonight. I don't know, Doug, if you know any more about the bill, you want to.
I think Cargill and Lafayette is go back up. You can get like one of those right from northern counties. I think the next closest one maybe to Decatur.
I've heard the same thing, that it's pretty backed up.
How close to one in Danville?
Yeah, there was one in Danville close to 15 or so years ago. And so, you know, but we've been looking at developing with our I-74 TIF district, that region.
There's a rail cross over right to it.
There's rail.
I saw that in the letter. Yeah.
That's 63 and 74, there's no railroad right there, but
You get most of that line.
and right at Lynch Road.
And I'm sure it was we have been meeting with BCS Consulting, and they've been working with Agua towards developing, they are moving forward with extending water and sewer, at least to the rest area, Welcome Center. We're also looking at possibly trying to go ahead and doing the beef house area as well. That we'll probably have to pay for that, but we don't have numbers yet to ask for that tonight. But there is some good possibility. There is going to be water and sewer extended on the from Danville to the rest stop, and that area right there at the state line is a very, seems like a good potential location for a facility like this. But we don't know that to be the case.
I was surprised when I read it though, that I guess I didn't expect it to be as big of a industry. I mean, it said that they invest 150 to 300 million for their plant, and they also bring 60 to 80 high wage jobs. I guess I didn't expect that many jobs out of it. That's
yeah, I was too. You know, we do have some big. I just was involved. You know, AC Grain is in Dana. They have a large operation there. They're actually going to expand. They came to Dana and got tax paid a couple months ago. They're investing 15 million to do some corn stuff there, and going to add 3 new jobs. This would be much bigger than that, obviously, but you know, the hope is that that could be one of the first things that we could land up there potentially. The water's not there yet, the sewer's not there yet, so somebody came in and said, I want to build it tomorrow, they couldn't. But by the time we get this feasibility study completed, hopefully we have those water and sewer lines available to us, and that would open up that ground up there for a facility such as this. If we were to get that kind of facility, now we already got that TIF district up there, so we start to see some new revenue off of that we can use to grow and expand the area.
I see this timeline, it says 8 weeks.
Yeah, his timeline's 8 weeks to get it done. I saw that. Yeah. So he came to one of our meetings, from Purdue. Couple, yeah, and you know, he knows what he's talking about, and you can see the kind of proposal they put together. He's at Purdue actually, that's where he's at, but he also works for S&P Global. So this is, I think Scott Royer, who's on our commission, kind of said, you know, this is the kind of thing these are the things you have to kind of do the start of these things. Kind of get your foot in the door with these kind of companies is to come in and say, hey, we got a location for you. I think there's some property owners up there who are interested in selling their property, and see a great potential for it to be developed. So, but, we don't, unfortunately, our TIP district has no money up there. That one we just created it earlier this year. We haven't had any new development yet. It's our newest TIP district, and it was more of a build it or create the TIP district and seeing the potential there to grow, for that area to grow. But we don't have the Elanco or the White Construction that's already invested in that area, so we don't have any money coming in, which is why we have to kind of ask for the additional appropriation. So.
It is advertised for.
Oh, definitely. I think, bids might be out right now for the water and sewer. But I think the target is in this fall with the completion next year, May, June, I believe. But that's rolling. It's not still in that, because Chris has already talked to Danville Sewer Plant. He's already talked to Warren County R&C. Aqua, Illinois, and Aqua, Indiana, and Aqua, Indiana has a new president that got behind each other, not the previous one did. So, the water and sewer is gonna happen to the rest part, for sure. See what happens.
Okay. The 80,000 was advertised from Economic Development Fund, 1149. That current balance is almost 1.3 million. So there is money in that fund.
Make a motion, we approve $80,000 for professional service for a study for the Sewickley Crushing Facility.
I'll second it.
We have a motion from Mr. Weir, a second from Mrs. Murray, for $80,000 additional appropriation coming from the 1149 Fund Economic Development into the Redevelopment Commission's professional services line for the soybean crushing facility study. Any further discussion?
Well, waters, if it's already up for bid, in a facility like this, possibly have a huge need for water.
I don't know. Yeah, I can't remember they're gonna upsize it. They've agreed to upsize it. I can't remember if it's 6-inch water main, something like that.
I thought originally it was supposed to be 6.
That's what I was thinking, it was supposed to be 6.
But they
had too many months.
Yeah.
I can't remember either. No, it's a great question. And I wish I had people from BCS prep me for this, but I didn't, because they talked about it at our last meeting. But we mainly talked about what we could do to get it to I-74 and 63. But I know that's big. They're going to upsize it, certainly to the state line. They're going to upsize it, I remember. And then from there on, NDOT was saying, well, we don't want to upsize it too much, because you don't want to have too big of a line. You don't want to have a 12-inch main and not have much use of it, because the water will stagnate. So
But this study would help
determine, what kind of
is, as far as
It could justify it, probably. Help justify it.
I know the one thing the biggest concern I think we had with that area, or our consultants have had with that area, is gas service. There's no gas service. It would have to come from Danville, probably. They've been able to work that out on the water and sewer side, but not on the gas side. So.
What do the Cargills and the other players in this business do? I mean, if they're completely inundated with service, do they ever go look, like, hey, we need another facility, let's go find one?
I don't know how these things happen. I wish I knew more. I mean, I was very surprised about this thing with Dana. That's Cargill's AC Grain that's really owned by Cargill, and they just came in and said, we're going to do $15 million if you can help us. We got some new contracts. So they already had an elevator there, obviously, and there's rail right there. They're right on the railroad track in Dana. So that's why Dana's a good spot. More clearly, there's a lot of farm ground around Dana.
Does the study look at that side of the equation now? I mean, maybe you don't know, but do they look and say, like, we'll contact Cargill.
That is part of, I read that in there, that this is, these are we're trying to work with the people who work with the people who make those decisions.
They may have reasons why they're saying it'll never work, but you want their input. So.
Yeah, and I mean, it may be that they come in and say, this isn't gonna work, you don't have enough, whatever, to make this happen in your county right now. I don't know. I mean, there's no guarantees that the feasibility. I hope that if it does, it's not gonna work, they're not gonna waste our time by saying, yeah, we'll try and get somebody anyway. But the idea here would be to come up with here's the reasons why we think a facility like this would work in this location in Vermilion County. Here's what it costs you, because you have to add this or you have to do this, and then try and market that to the Cargills and ADMs.
Okay, so I have the motion from Mr. Weir and the second from Mrs. Furry. Any other questions? All those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, state no. All right, the additional is approved.
Thank you. I'm sorry to take up so much of your time.
I know the stuff, but it's not.
All right, that's the end of the additional appropriations. We do not have any old business. New business, we had a request from Patrick Sheridan from Fire and Risk Alliance, but I don't see them here. And then Ina was our next one, but she did send me a message, said something had came up and she was not able to make it this evening. So she apologized. So she just had some numbers and updates for us. And then the sheriff's commissary office, his office commissary fund report is in here. This is for the second quarter of the year. Where's the first? I know we had one last month, that was for the first quarter, 1 quarter, and then this one is for, looks like the first quarter. The balance as of 3/26. Any questions on that?
No, it's to June. Yeah, it's to
Why
June.
does it say at the bottom?
I'll get typo.
I was gonna say,
I can see the
I think you did
deposits.
change it.
okay. And the second
They
quarter.
used to only have to do it twice a year, now they have
Right.
to do it quarterly.
So, okay. And he's included all the supplemental information for this week. Any questions? Nope. Okay. Last item of new business, the budget consulting agreement. We have before us to approve our budget consulting agreement. This is between Cox Werner and Gamble and Sullivan LLP in Vermilion County. This is for all the budgeting services. There's items A through L, if you would like to read all those. And for a fee of $13,500. This is all the work for budgeting purposes, all of the requirements from the state that need to be completed.
I'll make a motion.
Okay. I have a motion from Mrs. Furry, a second from Mr. Somerville for the approval of the budgeting consulting agreement in the amount of $13,500. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by stating aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, state no. It is approved.
I read all the items A through L, and I would not do it.
They changed the software.
You're very
They
generous.
they updated the software. It's now budget 2.0 on Gateway, so it's all different now. It's like,
Anytime the state updates something, you know it's gotta be good.
you guys are also likely to, I know you're gonna definitely be approving the Clinton Public Library's budget this year. Probably the Vermilion County Library's budget as well.
Okay.
They will still have to upload all that. We will still have to finalize it and approve it because of changes they made to how libraries have to get their budgets approved. If they want to increase their budget, basically by more than a certain percentage, they have to come to you. So I already talked to the Vermilion County or the Clinton Public Library folks, and I'm almost certain they're going to be doing that.
What about township trustees?
The only reason they would have to would be if they have too many, and the towns are in the same boat, if they have too many volunteer firefighters, too many, volunteer firefighters are not allowed to vote on the budgets for townships or towns if they are providing money to the fire departments. So you have to, it could be, I haven't heard from any townships yet, but it's possible that you would have to approve a township budget as well if they find themselves with too many volunteer firefighters on their board.
Too many volunteers on the board. Too many firemen.
Oh, yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
yes.
And I was thinking the other way first. You said,
I don't think
No,
anyone's
sorry.
ever said they had too many firefighters.
And we'll also do soil and water. Theirs is pretty simple, but don't forget about it. Thank you for approving that, because I've already spent a bunch of time up here working with Kim on it, so
We definitely need you.
it's different.
All right, public comment. Anyone left that would like to make any comment this evening? No? Okay. Any comments from council? Or I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion made. Please adjourn.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you for all your time. I'm sorry to keep you away.
Thank you for all the information. Well, yeah, I mean, I see this stuff too. I saw the digital, but paper copies and stuff.
Not like I moved, I had 2 leg cramps.
I was up moving around, it helps.
On the bench, rock it a little bit. Corn and squash, whatever. underneath it. Of course,
Yeah, go through.
I'm sitting there right there by my legs. So I'm, and there's a step and there's a concrete there. I go follow her, Kim was watching me. She brings up, you all right? I said, stay away, you know. Busted my foot.
Check.
That's once or twice. But I was all over the trying to get away from the Steve,
I think we talked about it, but
And you don't get
Hold on,
well.
let's see what mail we got.
No,
I don't need 15.
that's what I said afterwards, but somebody else. I should have told
Tammy, Brenda, me, yeah, probably Joe.
I don't know, I need to go to know.
And if I would have hit my head, I might have been in the hospital.
Rick, Rick, Kelly,
Exhaust.
Tammy. What else we got? Rick, Tammy, Brenda, let's do a house for some reason. That's Kelly. Neil, that one's yours. Jeff. Nope.
I
do some advertising.
That's all I did.
I think we're gonna like it. I see what
Oh,
Owen's doing, they're gonna play this,
I think we.
call it RPO.
This week, but then
That's where the news, the old Crabtree stuff,
I got to do.
20 years ago stuff.
I don't know,
This is
this
the
week,
news.
it might have been next week. We couldn't make it for it.
And you got the talent to do this, I think he does.
I don't know if we'll have.
I'm telling you,
I think it's there, he's gotta get developed.
I think we've got 2 classes right now that's got the talent.
I think we'll have a.
Now, can we do it after that? But,
Yeah, actually, the only thing we have is waiting on.
I mean, you couldn't ask for a quarterback.
Yeah, you got all 4 of them.
We gotta wait on him before we can say go.
I just,
and-
I hope he has some,
Should.
hopefully they can
Get them protecting them before the.
Oh, they did a pretty good job in
Everything. I give them, they
They did a pretty good job.
questions and wanted.